Come on, Howie, you gotta do this one. Dallas still stinks. Yo, but the way it kicked Dingbat here, and the Eagles are, just a little bit over a week away from the draft, and you gotta wonder what things are gonna go down, what is gonna happen. There's crazy trade rumors out there, rumors that make me actually feel ill to talk about. There are rumors that could happen, may not happen. Who the hell knows? All I know is this: Howie Roseman is going to strike in this draft. I believe the Philadelphia Eagles are not going to go through a whole offseason where they do really nothing in free agency, then they do nothing in the draft. That's not how they work. Usually, they're aggressive, really aggressive, in one or two areas, sometimes both. I don't expect that to change in this draft. I think, and I've said this before, I believe the Eagles are moving up in this draft. Now, I'm going to get into that in a second, but, I got to say this, because I don't mind talking about trades. I don't mind talking about things that could happen. People suggest things. I like talking and giving my opinion on all of it. That's what I like to do. Even if I have my own ideas, I like to share it. But this A.J. Brown stuff that came out by Howard Eskin today, I've heard about the Eagles trade him to the top for a top 10 pick. What top 10 pick is worth A.J. Brown? Nobody. I just got to say this. I can't talk about it. I can't talk about the trade. It gets me sick in my stomach. It makes me actually ill to think about. So I'm only talking about to say I can't talk about it. It's the first time, and as long as I can remember, that I can't talk about it. I couldn't, when the Eagles let Brian Dawkins go, I couldn't talk about it. When the Eagles let Reggie White go, I couldn't talk about it. To discuss that, to me, it makes me sick in my stomach. So I'm not talking about it. I'm not talking about it, all right? Anyways, I do want to talk about one trade that could happen, and I also want to talk about this. And get this. And I said, Howie Roseman usually is aggressive one way or the other. Devin Jackson wrote this: in the last 10 drafts, teams picking at the end of round 1 traded up or back 5 times. Okay? The Pound Eagles pick 32 next week. They traded out of 32 in 2018 just after they won the Super Bowl. Howie Roseman has traded up in the first round 4 of the last 6 drafts. Will he do it again? So, if you remember in 2018, one of the main reasons the Eagles traded out of 32, and I'm not saying they won't do it this time, but we got to remember the reason why they traded out in 2018 was because they didn't have any picks. It was Carson Wentz's second year. They had still given up a bunch of picks and still were paying him and didn't have a lot. So they tried to go and accumulate more picks. This time around, they've got a ton of picks. For the next 2 years, they've got a ton. So I don't think the Eagles are as desperate to trade back as they normally would be. And they still could do it. But Howie Roseman has traded up in the first round 4 of the last 6 drafts. Will he do it again? I think that's where he's going. I think Howie's trading up. How far do I think Howie goes? I think mid-20s, mid to late 20s. So I'll say anywhere from around 23, 24, which is slightly before mid-20s. But I would say anywhere from around 23, 24 to about 29, 30, somewhere in there. I think it's going to be in that range. I think it's going to be for somebody that falls. They probably got 3 or 4 guys they're looking at going, yeah, look, if he falls, we like it. If he don't fall, the hell with it. But, yeah, I think that's what they'll do. Who they're going to take, I don't know, but I hope to God it's Malachi Starks. I want a safety. I want a mother humping safety. That's what I want. Okay? Now, there's some other guys I like Pierce Jr., of course. I like Walter Nolan. I mean, they're all acceptable. The kid from Boston College. But give me a safety. Now, I want you guys to get this, because We talk about Goddard getting moved. There's stupid rumors about Devontae Smith yesterday. Then there's the AJ Brown thing. I just can't talk about it. It makes me feel sick to even think. But 49ers may be looking for another pass rusher. The Eagles may have the perfect guy. 49ers trade proposal reunites $51 million stinky pass rusher with Robert Saleh. And you know who that has to be. One, Bryce Huff, okay? Here's what it says. First off, the most obvious trade reunite Huff and Saleh, which intrigues because Huff had a breakout season with the New York Jets under Saleh, recording a high 10 sacks. Saleh previously expressed high regard for Huff, comparing his pass rushing prowess to baseball legend Mariano Rivera. All right, so it says, considering Saleh's fondness for Bryce Huff, coupled with Huff's potential, perhaps an incentive-laden contract would do the trick. Here's the trade proposal that they have. The Niners would receive defensive end Bryce Huff. See you later. Sayonara. We'll talk to you. Goodbye. Whatever. The Eagles would receive 2025 fourth-round draft pick, along with a conditional 2026 fourth-round pick that would escalate to a third-rounder if Huff records 10-plus sacks in 2025. I'm done. Do it in a second. I'm doing this deal in a second. You're going to give me a fourth-round pick for Bryce Huff? Huff and Puff? Puff and Huff? Whatever the hell it's called? You're going to give me a fourth-round pick and a sixth-round pick? Damn right I'm doing this trade. This would be a block. This would be not a blockbuster, but it would be a blockbuster that the Eagles were able to come away with that kind of compensation. Because if you would have told me he's worth a fourth-round pick, let alone a fifth-round pick, let alone a sixth-round pick, I would be shocked. I would be absolutely shocked. So, yes. Would I do this trade? In a second. This is a great trade. The Eagles should do this trade. Get another fourth-round pick. Then you definitely have to go up in the draft at that point because you've got even more picks. So you could do whatever you want. If the Eagles could pull this off, this would be a great move for the Eagles, in my opinion, because Bryce Huff ain't worth that. I don't know how he got 10 sacks in the Jets. I don't know. Maybe he was just a better fit. But I got to think the Eagles are going to move on from this guy when they get the chance. I do. And I would do this in a second. Now, the problem I see with this trade, okay, though, is here's the thing. You really need to wait until Bryce Huff is past June 1st. You got to wait to post June 1st to trade him because he's going to cost you too much money to get rid of him before June 1st. So that 2025 fourth round pick doesn't really work. You're going to have to make it like a 2026 fourth round pick with a 2027 fourth round pick that can escalate because you can't do that with having to trade him before this draft. It's not going to happen. I don't think Bryce Huff can get traded until after June 1st. At that point, you have opportunities to move on from him. If the Eagles could get rid of him before that, somehow do it. But I mean, compensation-wise, I love this move. I would do this move in a second. I don't know why we can't just get it done right now. Whatever. But this would be a great, great move. I like the Eagles pass rushers. I keep saying this. Not a lot of people, I think, believe in Jalen Hunt. I think a lot of people think he's all right. He's all right. Yeah, Nolan Smith is good, but Jalen Carter's great. But Jalen Hunt, we'll see. Can he be a rotational guy? Hell no. Hell with that crap. Jalen Hunt's a star. He's going to be a star, mark my words. He is good. He can play. He can start. He can hold down the fort. He can flourish. There's no doubt in my mind. People are sleeping on Jalen Hunt, and I don't understand it. After watching him in the playoffs at the end of the year, what are you sleeping on? The guy can play. Flat out, mother humping play. So when you look at him with Ojulari, with the Uche that they brought in, with Nolan Smith, the Eagles have a very, very capable defensive line. They have a good rotation, and look, they're going to add to it in the draft. We know they're going to draft most likely. Look, I would like a safety. I keep saying this. I would like a safety. That would be my pick. I would like Malachi Starks. That would be my pick. However, if I had to bet what position the Eagles draft first, it would be defensive end. That's the most likely scenario for the Eagles. It just is. And it makes sense. That's what they do. And if they don't take a defensive end in the first round, they'll probably take one in the second round. So you're going to add another pass rusher already. Okay? You don't need Bryce Huff. You don't need to go out and get TJ Watt. You don't need any of these big stars. You got your stars. I'm telling you. Just draft another guy, and the rotation will be fine, and get him the hell out of town. With that said, take care. Talk to you later, of course. Don't be a dingbat, and remember, it's Howie Vision, baby. We're all just living in it. I see what Mark Holmes did in the video yesterday. I saw. Oh, Jalen Hurts threw for only 128 yards in the snow. But what's so good about that? You forget the 44-yard run for a touchdown early in that game that he did that no other quarterback could have done, in my opinion. Maybe Lamar, that's it. So your quarterback couldn't have scored a touchdown there, which means you lose that game. He didn't turn over the ball. He was great. Jalen Hurts is so much better than Dak Prescott. It's not even funny. Denzel Washington out. That's all, folks.
The brother screwed us.